please like, share, and subscribe, and ring that little bell. Ring the little bell so you're notified when new videos drop, and it's freaking freezing. I've been complaining about the cold for a while, but it's just got so much colder. Okay, we had rain for a few days, still raining, torrential rain. I'm not a fan of the elements, me. And now it's got. I was cold. Now it's unbelievably colder, right? I got my little sweater on. I have a nice hot cup of tea, right? Nice hot cup of Rosie Lee here. Oh, that is good. That was really good. Tell you, the best tea I've ever had, and I feel somewhat bad saying this, was when my mother was dying. The hospice, right? The hospice she was dying in. The tea trolley came around a couple of times a day. That was good tea. Oh, National Health tea. Doesn't get much better than that. It was really genuinely good. I mean, this was a good, 15, 20 years ago now. Who knows what it'll be like now? I don't know, but I do like nice hot cup of tea. Help get me through the day. You know what else can warm the cockles of your freezing little heart? Doctor Who news, and we got a lot of it. We have a lot of it. We have I mean, it's kind of like parenthetical news, because Russell T Davies is going around promoting Nolly, and everyone wants to talk to him about Doctor Who. So we had, I think the headline story is there's been some very, on the surface, seems somewhat contradictory statements. I don't think they are at all, right? I really want to do a bit of a deep dive on them, because I think, look, the issue is like this. People don't listen to a bloody word anybody says. People listen to themselves, and they then filter what other people are saying through their own perceptions to fit into their worldview. Now, if you have to really make your internal voice very, very passive to really understand what somebody's really saying. But the bottom line is this: if you don't understand where somebody's coming from, is probably you haven't listened properly. So that's like the headline story. And we got lots of other stuff, right? We got lots of other stuff, but I think that really is the most important thing. Because the question I think most people are asking is, will the new era of Doctor Who be as absolutely awful as the previous one, right? The previous one was, we call it woke, and the people who don't like it, who don't like people saying the word woke say, well, what does that mean anyway? Well, we all bloody know what it means. It means you're using some kind of franchise with a strong audience as a way of platforming ideology, right? It's great example, right? Great example of something that was garbage, right? The what was that awful episode? The Sonungra Conundrum, right? The Sonungra Conundrum had this man giving birth in it, right? And they said, on his planet, men give birth to men and girls give birth to girls. And this was right after Jodie Whittaker really, really deeply, unconvincingly delivered a speech about how much she likes science. Oh, God. Yeah, that doctor was so freaking typical of the morons on Twitter today. Like, oh, I love science. Science is so important. Really, do women have penises? Science! Science! Do men have babies? Science! Okay. They like science whenever they can use it to shut you up. That's basically it. And almost always, the times they use it to shut you up are disingenuous studies paid for by the Communist Party of the Chinese Communist Party to essentially stop the Western world drilling for oil or doing anything else that's vaguely helpful to them, right? So there's that. But yeah, no, we got a bunch of Doctor Who stories to go through. Before we get into it, like, share, subscribe, comment. Thank you very much. That would be lovely. What was it? Anything else I got to say? Like, share, subscribe. Yeah, honestly, thank you for doing that. That's kind of an important one. I don't know why I'm underselling that, but please hit the subscribe button. Look in the video notes. You'll find my Twitter, my Substacks, my email newsletter. Go and sign up for that. Right now, on this week, I put out an awesome interview from Mark Gaddis in Doctor Who magazine from, I'm going to say, 2006. It was really exciting. I always put little extras in. If this is going out on Friday, which I assume it is, there's a book going out, a PDF of an out-of-print Doctor Who book going out. I think I'm going to do Lawrence Miles's Alien Bodies, which was an 8th Doctor novel. Really good one, right? It really kind of defined the BBC Books iteration of Doctor Who publishing, which was essentially Doctor Who at the time. Yeah, and it was a great doctor. It was it was a very good doctor, but I did like it. The only thing is like these early BBC books they had. Who was it? Sam Jones? Is that the name, or is that the name of the guy who played Flash Gordon, or both? Right, or both as a companion, who was so painfully generic, right? Oh God, it was like written by AI, just a bit dumber, right? So that sign up myself so that you get all that stuff, and boy, is it fantastic! So like, share, subscribe, comment. Twitter, Instagram, Substack, all that stuff in the video notes. Go take care of it. Fine! Let's start looking at news. I mean, we're not going to bury the lead. We're going to start with the headline story, which, doink, this one over here. So we're starting off with cosmic book news, because a lot of people, on my side of the cultural aisle did report on this very, very, very heavily, right? Doctors Rusty David blast woke TV. This is the third video I've made on this by woke TV writers for rubbish writing. It's not exactly what he said, but that's exactly what he said. That's exactly what it. The showrunner of the upcoming season, and Mark Gatter's offer how to fix TV in a new interview. Okay, Rusty Davis, who returns to Doctor Who for the franchise 60th anniversary, blasts woke TV writers for their bad writing. So, one may think from this that he doesn't like woke TV, right? Actually, I think that's probably true. I think there's aspects of it that he very much does like, and aspects of it he doesn't. We're really going to go deep into what those aspects are. An article about how to save the TV says, I do a lot of mentoring, and there are voices wanting to be heard of any gender or ethnicity, but, you're talking about mainly non-white men, who consider themselves invisible. And again, I think this is where I think this is going, right? I think... I think this is what's going on with Rusty David. I think this very much resonates with him because there weren't gay people in pop culture at all when he was a kid, right? I mean, they're really. I mean, Quentin Crisp. I think that was essentially it. You didn't have. Like, EastEnders, I think, really was, and it wasn't even the first gay person in EastEnders. You had when it opened, you had a gay couple. I think it was about 10, 15 years into it, you had Christian. Remember Christian who ended up marrying Saeed? That was a great plot line. Oh, I used to like that plot. Okay, the plot line with Christian and Saeed was Muslim, didn't want to be gay, and was betrothed to this quite attractive young lady, right? But he was in love with Christian. But it's a bit of a no-no in the Muslim world, right? So he ends up getting married to this woman, right? But it obviously doesn't work out. So I asked my wife at the time. So let's say you're religious, she was, so she can relate to that. You're religious, and you're married, and you have husband's nice, does all the husbandly stuff, and then about a year or two into the marriage, he says, "Look, I've never acted on this, but I'm gay, right? I'm gay. Could I ask you to kind of help me out in the bedroom? I guess, go into doggy style a little bit more. And what do we call all, on your hands and knees sex doggy style? Virtually every animal has sex that way, right? I mean, you could call it, giraffe style, but no, we're going with doggy style. Okay. And occasionally put a finger up your ass, that sort of thing, right? That sort of thing to, hey, listen, let me tell you, I've been married for a long time, and there are, when you're in a long-term relationship, unless it's really weird, whatever your spouse needs sexually, you're like, yeah, okay. Unless it's really weird, I thought she would say, yeah, sure, I will do it. She was like, no, I would divorce that guy in a second. I'm like, oh, okay. But yeah, no, Christian and Saeed, I think that was the point where gay people weren't invisible in media. And it's more they were normal and average, right? So I think he sees trans people in a similar situation, but I don't think it's similar. right? I think, look, I hate to bring this up, but the last society that was really into legitimizing the trans thing, as far as I know, were those naughty National Socialists. They didn't like gay people. They didn't like, there's a bunch of things they didn't like. They didn't like Jews. They didn't like black people. The T's. Oh boy, they were big into the T's. That was a major demographic. And no, really, Jen, it's so strange, but. So I think I think his good nature. I think his not good nature. I think his morality has been weaponized against him, quite frankly, because I think this is more of a greater attack on society, on the morals of society. And I think he's very, very smart, but the heart is a captain's ship. You go with whatever that you feel, generally speaking, and you find ways to rationalize that. That's why smart people, by the way, the more clever you are, the harder it is to talk somebody out of being in a cult. Yeah, that's what. Look, I have friends very dedicated to the Biden worldview, and they believe it all completely. And you they're just, you can't. There's so many layers and layers and layers and layers of things that aren't true that they believe in. It's very hard to try and get through, right? And they won't listen to a word. But so anyway, that's what I think is going on. I think that Russell Davies very much believes in the struggle that the T people say that exists today. I don't. I just don't think they're right. I don't think that struggle is real. Right. I think it's more of a struggle to normalize. What's the word? I mean, the nice ways are alternative sexual attitudes, but the alternative sexual attitudes normally bring misery with them because they only apply to a teeny tiny minority of people. And if you normalize it, people go, oh, well, I think I'll try and cut my dick off, see how that works out. Oh, no, didn't. I'm going to kill myself. So that's what I think is somewhat going on. But I think also he sees a reality that the stuff that has been done to increase visibility. Again, I think it's a fake battle. The stuff that's been done to increase visibility has been of such incredibly low quality that he understands it's hurt the overall goal, right? So I think he wants to hand over to another generation. We're going to be seeing that in a moment as we go through this. But look, being gay doesn't have kids. It's harder to have kids if you don't have a. So I'm not opposed to gay people adopting. I was never really anti that. But so I think he's got a very, very strong understanding of family. If you see his work, everything is about family and the connections that family makes. Right. So a major part of family is continuity, right? And I think that's what he's looking for here, right? But here, let's see where it goes. I do a lot of mentoring, and there are voices wanting to be heard of any gender and ethnicity, mainly not straight white men. That's basically of anyone, but not the straight white men, who consider themselves invisible. The reason that I don't understand why trans people will consider themselves invisible, right? There's many programs like RuPaul's Drag Race, which is in prime time on mainstream TV. I just don't think that's a good thing, quite frankly. But it is. It's there. I don't understand why you would It's like trying to normalize drag, right? Drag, by its definition, isn't normal. It's a highly sexualized, bimbo-esque type of entertainment, right? It really is. So. You see them trying to normalize drag performances, and it just looks so deeply strange. I mean, that's really the bottom line. It just looks so really, really, really odd. It looks like grooming. It looks like trying to sexualize children. The underage drag shows, the drag queen reading it at libraries, that for kids, that sort of thing. So I think Russell Davies really is a moral person, and I think if he saw the truth, right, and he might be right and I might be wrong, I want to be clear about that, but if he saw what I think is the truth, I think it's better, I think he'll be absolutely mortified, right? I think he'll be absolutely mortified, and I think 15, 20 years from now, a lot of people who are very supportive of the T and the D. Why isn't there a D on the LGBTQIA thing? There should be D for drag, right? Are going to see the results of it in about 10, 15 years with thousands of suicides. I think we're going to see a huge uptick in suicides because, basically speaking, if you're coerced into mutilating your genitalia and that's not your bag, you're not going to get over that one so easily, right? It's. I can understand that being anger, depression, everything they say. The reason that we need to allow underage transgender surgeries. We got to stop people killing themselves. It's actually going to be what happens, which isn't always the way. It's always a bloody way. So anyway, that's what I think is going on here. They hate the media that ignores them. It's not just the media. They hate the Western world, right? That ignores them. I think they've been somewhat rolled up into this worldview by a media that wants to make them feel like they're marginalized when they really genuinely are not. It's like, how dare you not pee in the women's bathroom? It's like, that isn't oppression, mate. That's not oppression, right? Okay, let's say you're a gay person out with their boyfriend, right? And you're holding hands, and next thing you know, you're getting the shit kicked out of you by a bunch of skinheads. That's what oppression looks like, you dumb cunt. Oh my God! It's not. I want to pee over there. Well, he can't. Oh, but I'm a girly. Really? I know you believe that, but why do I have to believe that, right? And so, like, if you don't adopt their beliefs, you are a bigot, right? So yeah, they hate the media that ignores them. They hate everything because they're not very happy people because they're not very well, right? And they're trapped into wanting a job in the media that purely to increase representation. I think you're being too generous, quite frankly. Although you probably know people more than me. But I think you're being way too generous. I think it's an expression of power. That's what I think it is. I think there is a cultural war going on, and I think this is an expression of power. So we see Davis is saying woke TV writers hate their jobs and only care about injecting woke representation into projects. Well, that seems to be a pretty fair analysis, which of course comes at the expense of story quality. Something as Disney has been doing to Star Wars and Marvel, which explains those franchises' downfalls. Although I have to tell you, I think upcoming Star Wars, I'm really quite excited about. Right? Well, not excited about. I mean, I think Mandalorian's going to be good. I saw a thing saying the Book of Boba Fett was micromanaged by Kathleen Kennedy, and that's probably why it was shit, right? And Jon Favreau nearly walked on that. Apparently, that's what a rumor. Is it true? Is it not? I do not know. Davis added, I've read scripts and they're rubbish. I've read their scripts and they're rubbish. They don't actually love television, so you don't know how to write for it. That's really the bottom line. So true with comics as well. Mark Gass, a long-time Whovian, has acted and written for Doctor Who, shares the same concerns as Davis, the pure lack of quality of new writers. I mean, it's been 5 years. Right, they put out a lot of content. We've seen all of Jodie Whittaker Doctor Who. We've seen Star Trek Discovery. We've seen Picard season 1 and 2. They've been dire. We've seen Obi-Wan Kenobi, right? We've seen the Book of Boba Fett. We've seen Last Jedi. It's been horrendous writing, right? Just horrendous writing. And the script is the start of everything. Without a good script, everything falls down. And the lack of credit. Well, Gass's references Pollyanna, and all about a little girl surrounded by misery, but always had an optimistic attitude. Oh, that's nice. Sometimes I think I'm like Pollyanna because I met some people who hate making television. It seems because they hate working. Right? These kids hate doing it. Why is there a labour shortage? Because kids hate working. That's why there's a labour shortage. It seems that they're making them so miserable. Go and work on the bins or something. It's hard work. It gives you ulcers. So you have to love it. I do agree, right? I do agree. Dr. Anna, Chris General, Jodie Whittaker hasn't seen the big ratings decline. Yeah. Go woke, go broke. That's basically. So was this veiled criticism at the Chibnall era? I think probably. I think probably yes, it was. Right? I think it's more a veiled criticism, the open criticism of the current state of television. So yeah, that's a very, very encouraging for people on our side of the cultural aisle, right? The cultural aisle. That like, oh, it's not going to be more the same. They're not going to have these problems that beset many of these franchises that we absolutely loved and destroyed them, right? No. But then we get this. People like me can always make way for trans storytellers, Rusty Davis or Nolly, Doctor Who, and making progress on the screen. So these things seem to really contradict each other, right? The much-loved writer, well, I like him a lot, speaks to Nick Levine about his new ITV drama Nolly with Helen Bonham Carter, politics, trans representation, and those rumours that Doctor Who has £10 million budget per episode. No, they don't. I think we'll see on screen, right, what sort of budget it has. Everybody knows Rusty Davies is a great writer. Far fewer know he's a great talker. He's a fantastic talker, right? By the time I meet Davis in a Soho hotel to discuss his latest TV drama, Nolly, I'm tremendously entertained. A tremendously entertaining three-parter about Crossroads stars Noel Gordon. The 59-year-old Welshman has been capping all day. Yes, yeah, he likes to talk. He still has plenty of words for the Conservative government. However, their recently abandoned plan to privatise Channel 4 we were all played by the right wing for a year of defending Channel 4, and they dropped it. He boomed, sounding both furious and friendly. We were just like yo-yos. Look, Russell, mate, I really genuinely think you're giving way too much credit to the Conservatives. They are as bumbling incompetence as anybody else in politics, right? Yes. And again, I think this goes back to his core values, right? His core values from when he was a kid, when the Conservative government prohibited legitimization of same-sex relations, right? It would legitimization like them appearing as cultural norms. Now, I remember this. The big it was clause 24 or 18 or something like that. The thing that broke the straw that broke the camel's back was right by me in Brent Council. They had a dance, and the poster was a man dancing with a woman, and then the Brent Council, which was very, very liberal, said no, that's racist. You need to have two men dance together and two women dance together, and a man and woman, right? It was like, really? But yeah, that sparks a furore, right? Of, man, if the people who are upset about the stuff going on then can see what's happening now, they'll be like, oh, this is cool. This is all cool, right? But okay. Yeah, so listen, look, mate. I agree with you. The Conservatives are incompetent, evil scum, right? I disagree with you in that thinking that Labour aren't incompetent, evil scum, but they are just incompetent, evil in different ways, and also they don't like Jews, so that's kind of a big touch point for me, right? They don't like Jews at all. Oh, also, their economic policy will make everybody miserable and destroy the world. How do we know that? Go look at America. Oh, that's doing well, isn't it? Okay. Wait. Exactly. Three-parter about Crossroads star Noel Gordon, the 59-year-old Welshman, has been cabbing. I find. Yeah. They're like yo-yos. It's fair to say that Davis has a vested interest in the subject. He worked for a not-for-profit channel on Queer as Folk, his seminal 1990s gay drama that was rebooted for a second time last year. Really? I didn't know that. And it's just in the gut-wrenching series about HIV/AIDS epidemic that broke Channel 4's streaming records when it launched in 2021. Well, the quality of that was astounding. I was surprised that everything doesn't have that kind of response, because Very British Scandal, I think, is one of his best works, right? Hardly gets mentioned now. Absolutely beautiful. Really, genuinely, absolutely beautiful. In Davis' life, privatisation man spearheaded by former Culture Secretary and steadfast Boris Johnson ally Nadine Dorries was a cynical ploy to make Channel 4 a pawn in the culture wars. Well, again, if you guys will just stop going after the kids and trying to teach them to cut their dicks off, I think we can have a détente at that point, right? But, I voice it that way. Rusty Davis goes right back to his 1980s self, where he's being told that he's not allowed to be seen in society, right? The heart is the captain of the ship, mate. You know, everything goes by that. It was like we were in a schoolyard of Eton with the posh public school, public school boys playing with us, he says. And then the matron, Nadine Dorries, who comes in with a flannel to wipe up after the boys have been masturbating in the dormitory. I don't know. I don't get the analogy, right? I don't get the analogy. At least he didn't mention a soggy biscuit. That's all I can say. If you don't know what I mean, just get on your knees and thank the good Lord. Oh, God, this is disgusting. But fine. In person, David is as frank and funny as the characters he writes. Well, I can believe that. There's one topic he won't be drawn on ever. Doctor Who, to the fans delight. The delight of fans, I should say. He has returned to the show after a 13-year hiatus. David successfully revived it, blah, blah, blah. We've still got 10 months to go until the first episode, so I'm keeping my powder dry, he says politely. But you'll see in November, it's not a radically changed show, right? Well, it's going to be radically changed from how they radically changed it. It's going to be a radically changed back show. That's what makes me feel good. Yeah, and I know people say, well, Chris Chibnall said all the same things. Yeah, but Chris Chibnall has no record of being able to write. You know, Russell E. Davies does. It's larger for 6 years because it's good. It needs a bigger budget and bigger profile, and hopefully that's what we're bringing to it with Disney, blah, 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 blah. 10 million pound an episode? He said, I wish we had 10 million hoots, David. If we did, it's probably 9,995,000. So it's like if we did, I'll be flying around on a private jet. Aren't you flying around on private jets? I think that. I don't think you're a stranger to private jets, Russell T. Davies. I want to be clear. At the screening of Nolly 8 hours earlier, Davies had been talking all day. He recalled that he was initially pitched a series about Noel Gordon to YTV, the channel who broadcast Crossroads for nearly a quarter of the century. He was met with one question: who is she? Okay, the response was. Only made Davies more determined to tell the story of the remarkable but sad story. Nolly is largely set in 81 when Gordon's... I saw from Acorn Antiques doing a parody of this while I was trying to look up that famous press release that you see Helena Bonham Carton do. Was a bigger star. Both on and off camera, is abruptly sacked without explanation. All good things come to an end. Is the male executive all the American male executives could offer? Helen Bonham Carter gives a spiky performance as the actor who played the motel owner Meg Richardson on Crossroads for 18 years before she was brutally ousted. When her friends tell Nolly to inform the press she's leaving of her own volition, she disregards advice entirely. Nolly marches up to a huddled journalist waiting for her at the studio and declares, "Gentlemen, I have been sacked." Yeah, they were going to mention the Acorn Antiques thing. Can we get into something interesting, though? In a world of creaky sets and squeaky RP accents, so memorably set up by Victoria Wood in Acorn Antique sketches, but Davies believes the injustice of Gordon's downfall will be keenly felt by the contemporary audiences. Inevitably, the series has things to say about women at work, women in the workplace, because the way... here's the thing that I'm bothered by, right? And I think this is motivating Russell D. Davies, right? But I think this is one of the things that I'm bothered by, is that, yes, in the 70s and the 80s, and probably a little bit in the 90s, right, women were abused in the workplace. I agree with you, right? By the time we hit the 2000s, they weren't. I'm sorry, they weren't. And the things they come up with as abuse, right, when we saw the Me Too thing, I don't want to say they, the things that came up with examples of abuse when the Me Too thing was which was all designed to attack Trump and nothing else, even though Me Too only happened because Trump was elected and Hillary Clinton couldn't protect Harvey Weinstein anymore. But that's the messed up world we live in. What was he saying? Hillary Clinton, Me Too. Oh yeah, Me Too. Yeah. I found the universal complaint is women are not listened to in the workplace, right? Well, here's the truth. If you say something stupid in the workplace and it's a man saying it, he'll say, "Oh, that's stupid." I mean, a great example is this: they used to have these what's it called again? Summits. These summits at Marvel Comics where they would decide, would get all the writers in, and they would thrash out the plans for like the coming year or the coming 2 years or whatever it was, and you would have the writers screaming at you, "That's dumb, that's stupid, that's this." Now you got Vita Ayala, who's I believe a trans person, bad woman, I don't know, and her ilk run comics, or they did. You're not allowed to have that debate. You're not allowed to tell them something is stupid, right? I think a lot of times, I'm not universally, I have to be there, but I think a lot of times, women say something stupid, right? A woman says something stupid in the workplace, and they don't think it's stupid, and people just kind of embarrassed and ignore it. That's what you do. Like, I think we should add a function that turned these pants into jelly. Yes, I read it on Facebook. Jelly pants. And people are like, anyway, so the third quarter, yes, right? And then they come up with exactly the same thing, and they don't credit me. No, I don't believe that, right? Again, I have to see it. If I see it, I've seen things that I didn't believe happening before. If you can show it to me, you can show it to me, right? I've never witnessed anything like that, and I have witnessed women saying things that are stupid without realizing they're stupid, right? So talking about Noel Gordon Belt, she was a pioneer. Okay, it's coming out today. I'm recording this on Thursday. Fine, we're finally getting into an issues. Davis believes that Gordon was also easier to tell because she didn't fit into any of the female archetypes at the time. She wasn't a mother, a wife, and she had no brothers and sisters. There was no support structure to define her. He says, but that's why Nolly says in episode 3, "Why are you spoiling to me?" of the series she was sacked, because she was sackable, right? While Gordon wasn't gay, she had a lengthy relationship with a married man, theatrical impresario Val Parnell. That is mentioned in the series. Davis describes as the actor completely gay-friendly in a way that was far from the norm at the time. Her best friend, played gamely by Mark Gatiss, was unapologetically camp, but closeted TV presenter. No, he wasn't fucking closeted! I lived in the 70s! We all knew he was gay! There was no question he was gay! Really? Did somebody think Larry Grayson? What? Like pussy? Really? You think Larry Grayson was a pussy? God, what the hell? No! Everybody, John Inman, yes, he was gay, very obviously. But I understand, right? I can understand Russell Lee Davis being irked that the only gay representation on TV is veiled gay representation. But still, nobody had any moment when they said, "Oh yeah, he loves the vagina. Oh yeah, Larry Grayson can't get enough vag." Yet nobody ever said that, right? And if they did, they were insane. He was actually so bold and brave, Davis says, of Grayson. Other members of the LGBTQ plus community have been less complimentary. In 2017, LGBTQ plus activist Peter Tatchell said that he despised the negative stereotypical representation of gay men perpetuated in the 1970s by Grayson and Are You Being Served, John Inman. He was being gay on stage, continued Davis, who loved watching Grayson on the BBC primetime hit The Generation Game as a teenager. Me too! I liked him. His best friend was called Everard? Never heard of that. What does that mean? Everard? What? I don't. Is that a veiled reference to being having a very, very well maintained erection, Everard? Okay, I've never heard of Everard. What does that mean? It references. It's a reference to an erection. Okay, fine. It was so overtly gay and camp. People loved him, and yet no one ever called him gay. We did. Why would we call him gay? We know it's like people calling me Jewish. Really? Did you not know? Yes, it was written all over him. Nolly isn't so much as a vault face from It's a Sin as it initially seems. Okay, I won't get to worry talking about trans representation. Davis made headlines in 2021 when he said gay characters should only be played by gay actors. I don't think it was a universal thing, and frankly, Nick Offerman in Last of Us episode 3 very, very, very convincingly played a gay person. Actually, I was listening to Tim Pool this morning. He was talking about that, and his take on it was his character just started to be gay in that episode. I'm like, no, he's always been closeted gay, just didn't tell anyone. And you can tell from that performance because it was very ill. It was really, really good. I think if he's nominated for an Emmy, he's probably going to win an Emmy for it, right? It is real Emmy bait, but it was also good, right? It was also good. It's about authenticity, he says, considering he had been putting queer lives into living rooms since the 1990s. His words hold a certain gravitas. So the next step to championing trans representation. Without me, that's happening. So clearly he thinks that, right? Again, he conflates people being trans, which is or drag queens, normalize it to being gay. Maybe he's right, maybe he's wrong. Right, I'm not dogmatically saying my worldview is right, but it just seems to me it's a step across bounds of public decency, which I guess people said the same about gay characters in the 90s, right? So I see the analogies. Nobody had a problem with it until you aimed it at kids, right? No one had any problem with any of this until you aimed it at kids, which is, I don't know, a bit problematic for me. Without me, although he does allow himself a small pat in the back for casting Bethany Black in 2005, then E4 drama Banana and Cucumber. She was the first trans actor in a regular terrestrial role in the world. Well, that's pretty impressive. And so then talk about Yasmin Finney in Doctor Who. Intriguingly, she's playing Rose, the same character as Billie Piper, companion from David's First in the Charge. It won't change the world, Finney has said of her role. Yeah, she's just... Here's the thing. And I might be wrong, right? I think she's just playing a character. Again, Last of Us. Why did that work? Because you're introducing these characters as characters, and then their sexuality was entered into later, right? Which is the way it should be. And once you're defined by your sexuality, then it's woke, right? The trailer for the season 9 Blu-ray? The first line by the first character was "We're gay," right? That was I'm like, well, how else do you fit it into a small, to a teeny tiny 3-4 minute trailer? You don't need to, right? They could have just been friends in that bloody cave. Whatever. We're up to it. It's about good people are doing the changes happening. Diversity on screen is improving across the board. Well, it's been pretty dire, I say. Good people are doing the work, he continues. It's not just a trans thing, it's about showing every form of sexuality in every race. Well, I think every form... Here's the thing, there are sexualities that are kinks, right? I mean, like, how far are we out before, glopping out over lesbian schoolgirl porn is like, you can do that at Sainsbury's. I understand, like, there's got to be some area of sexuality that should have some form of privacy, which, generally speaking, I think makes sexuality... better, right? The taking of privacy out of sexuality, I think, is a problem, right? And again, I hear where he's coming from. I just think he's been duped to a certain extent, right? I think he's having his goodness used against him, his morality used against him. Especially in every race. And the point now is for gatekeepers like me to make way for trans storytellers. But you did that, and you just made dross. They can't bloody write. They can't write because they're from a narcissist, lazy generation, right? Yes, they can't write. And they don't care about TV, as you've already said, because that's when you really improve things. No one can change the TV landscape on their own, David says, and he lightens the mood with a nice bit of self-deprecation, which he's very good at. And I'm getting old now, that's the truth. So I can't say I'm convinced, even after talking all day. I can't say I'm convinced, even after talking all day. He clearly has energy left to burn. When you love something, right? You love something. You never run out of energy for it. You're always excited about it. And I can see why he's so pumped. It's all about stories for me. There's always another story to tell. You're right. And that's where they're falling down. Their ability to tell stories, right? Their ability to tell stories, which I think is very important, right? I think that's very, very important. Now, one last thing on Rusty Davis before we move on from him. There's also this thing we have to factor in as well. Rusty Davis on the comfort of Doctor Who after his husband's death. So basically, like this, I'll paraphrase it sort of, but the story was that. Well, I'll just read the quotes. Probably like, should I get one of the the most world-renowned wordsmiths of the day to put it, or shall I reword it for him? I'll go with him, right? I'll go with him. So he's talking about during his husband's illness, Davis gave up his work to be his carer. Now he revealed, it isn't killing me. I'm quite glad that I've gone back to writing Doctor Who, because psychologically I'm thinking he knows what I'm doing now. So here's the important part, right? It gives me comfort. It's when you do new things that he never experienced that it feels odd and you don't enjoy it so much, right? I can see that. That makes you feel more disconnected from him, right? It's that you're experiencing something that they aren't, right? And it makes the gulf wider. However, when he did Doctor Who, he was with him, right? I think it was such a wonderful time in his life. In everybody's life that made it. It's cathartic to go back. I mean, look, Phil Coulson started crying. He fell to his knees and started crying when he fell down. It was a very special time of life. And the bond that those people have made, Phil Coulson, Julie Gardner, Rusty Davis, has lasted all this time, right? They've been to each other's funerals. They've been to each other, I don't know, weddings, whatever, right? It's like, and they are, I think, a close group of friends. And I think it's good and cathartic for them to coming back, and I think we're going to get great Doctor Who because of it, right? Somebody else who quite likes Doctor Who, bit of Stephen Moffat, right? Bit of Stephen Moffat, and I kind of agree with him on this. I do actually very much agree with him. Stephen Moffat has some high hopes for Rusty Davis, for what Rusty Davis can bring to the BBC and Disney Plus Doctor Who, but he's still not coming back, which is an interesting point. I think he's done his time. He feels time to move on. With November's 60th anniversary event inching ever so close, and I can't wait till we get a new graphic that either doesn't have Jodie or doesn't highlight it so much. With shooting up was 15 Doctor, Millie Gibson, Ruby Sunday, starring in a Christmas special to follow. The buzz surrounding BBC, Disney Plus, and showrunner Davis Doctor Who, it gets louder and louder with each passing day. Well, Davis can't help himself, right? What's better than now to check in with Stephen Moffat? He has some thoughts about the long-running site of the Radio Times Pod. Yeah, Radio Times Pod is where you find out all kinds of good stuff. Once again, rubbing in his face as he knows more about the plans than we will ever. No, we're going to know the plans when they air it, right? Yes. Moffat did share his feelings that Davis is the right person to help guarantee never has an end date. I tend to agree with that completely. I do tend to agree with that completely. I just want it to go on and on. I want it not to stop. I think I want it to, and I know Davis is going to make use of his infinite adaptability to always be the number one predator in the environment. That's what I want. I want to go back. I want it to go on forever. I believe it can. Like stories like Robin Hood, King Arthur, and Sherlock Holmes. I think that's true. Right? I mean, listen, 500 years later, still talking about Robin Hood, still talking about King Arthur. I think it's really penetrating that level of psyche. I think Sherlock Holmes did as well, right? Once you get past your first 100 years and you're still going strong, I think it's going as long as civilization does at this point, right? Unless we have a Chris Chibnall comes along and does something terrible, and there's not a Russell T Davies to pick up the pieces, right? But that doesn't mean it needs him to keep on going. It will be career madness, even by my standards, to go back into a junior capacity on a show that I used to run. I hear that. I didn't actually think about it there. I would have to be insane to do it, says Moffat, later River. Well, I think he's probably going to... What's the taking us to? Let's have a look. That's a link. Okay. It's just the article that it comes from. David's covered a lot of ground in recent interviews, highlights including, this is everything, that he's modelling on Star Trek, Edgar Wright, lots of them. Fine, that story, that story lasted 2 paragraphs before they moved on to something else, right? Let's a couple of other bits and bobs we need to look at. What was it? No, that one just opened up. Doink! Series 14, Jack Full-Size Noble joins cast. No idea who he is. Actor Jack Full-Size Noble was announced in Doctor Who magazine, came out today, and will be the first, as present on the first day of Doctor Who Series 14 filming, will be playing character named Will. What an absolute treat to join the Whoniverse. It's such an exciting time for the show. That's true. Russell T Davies has brought together a kind and incredibly talented team to be part of the first day of filming. Was really special. Thoughts I know until Doctor Magazine. Audiences are in for a ride. Trip of a lifetime. I do tend to agree with him. It's so I think it's in episodes 4 and 5 this saying. What else do we have? I think there's one more thing. Adrian Lester responds to Doctor Who fan casting as the Doctor. Dude, shooting hasn't even started yet, okay? Just wait for a minute. Lester's name has been mentioned discussing around Doctor Who. Why? We got not one, but 2 freaking Doctors to go to before we even think. I don't want to think about Shooty recasting for like 2-3 years, and I hope he's awesome, right? I hope he goes 5 years, frankly, and I hope he really, people really want him to go 5 years. Listen, name of the mentioned conversation regarding Doctor Who for years, but on Sunday 29th he responded to a fan who posted a picture of him alongside a message. I think Adrian Lester will be a perfect Doctor. He said, thank you. But the young person who is about to fill the Doctor's shoes is a huge talent and will be excellent. I do agree with you, mate, but that's pretty darn classy, right? That is pretty darn classy. Yeah. So I don't know why. Why are they speculating about Agent Lester being Doctor Who? I don't know. But we had a lot of news. We had a lot of news to cover. I think we covered pretty much all of it. Look, it was the anniversary of Liz Slater's passing. Shooty Gutwer has a new house. That was a story I didn't get to. There was another one. I think I can't remember. No, I think that was everything, right? I'll probably cover that on my live stream tonight, which for you will be last time. Was going to do a full review of the new Doctor Who magazine. Again, this is all in the past for you. Who knows where you live in the future? Who knows? Do you have flying cars? That's what I want. That's what I want. I want to live in the Jetsons world. I think that would be really... Do you reckon they have sex bots? I think they do. I think they probably do. You didn't see it on the Jetsons. They would if they made it today, because there's no privacy around sex. My name is Tzvi Lebetkin, the Rabbi from another planet. Please like, share, and subscribe, and ring that little bell. Ring the little bell so you are notified when new videos drop.